Hey, this is Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert, a NASCAR podcast. NASCAR was ready for the bright lights of Vegas, bringing all three series into town for action. Storylines going into the weekend, trucks after finishing second to Kyle Busch by a nose in the last truck race from Atlanta. Could veteran driver Stort Friesen keep the momentum going? Xfinity, could Eric Almirola go back-to-back, or could Justin Allgaier take the show? Cup Series, after a whopping 3 wins in a row for Christopher Bell, how would he do on the mile-and-a-half track of Vegas? This week on our Driver Spotlight segment, we have Matt DiBenedetto featuring our interview with him from Daytona a few races ago, NASCAR History Time featuring Vegas through the years, discussions with Dave, Fast Davey's bets, and so much more on this episode of Splash of Gas. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He'll be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. Before we dive deep into any of the action from Vegas, there is plenty of action in the late model world of things. Here is our late model recap. The Baby Rattler and Rattler 250 were taking place during the weekend from South Alabama Speedway. James Finch would win in a chaotic closing laps to win the Baby Rattler. In historic fashion, Michael Atwell would win the 49th Rattler 250 and leading nearly every lap of the National Super Late Model event in the process. Congratulations. Cars Tour West would be in action at Kevin Harvick's Kern Raceway. The Limited Pro Late Model event would be won by Dylan Zampa, and the Pro Late Model race, which featured Harvick's son Keelan, would be won by Buddy Shepard. The younger Harvick would have a fuel pump issue and finish at the back of the pack. Now for the Truck Series recap from Vegas. Trucks would get the party going Friday in Vegas with a late start time of 9 p.m. on the East Coast. After qualifying, the 7 of Corey Day would be on the pole, followed by Tyler Ankrum. Early on, Ankrum would lead and Corey Heim would rocket up 7 positions after starting 16th. After several laps of trying, Day would get past Ankrum. It would be short-lived for Day, who would get passed by Ty Majeski a lap later. With 5 laps to go in Stage 1, the yellow would fly for rain. Ty Majeski would go on to win the first stage under yellow. Eventually, the red flag would come out. After a rain delay, NASCAR would get the track dry. Ben Rhodes and Tyler Ankrum would lead the field to green. Ankrum would take control of the lead, followed by Rhodes. By lap 47, Corey Heim would be up 15 spots after starting from the rear due to a speeding penalty after Stage 1. 2 laps later, Chandler Smith would pass Ben Rhodes for second. Tyler Ankrum would keep it clean and go on to win Stage 2. After what was already a long night, turned into an even longer night after rain would fall again after the stage break, putting the race into another rain delay. Luckily, it was a short shower and the trucks would restart with 54 laps to go, with Corey Heim and Stort Friesen bringing the pack back to green. Heim and Friesen would battle on the restart. After several laps, Friesen would pull out in front as Heim battled Chandler Smith for second. As 2 quick yellows on lap 83 for a spinning Caden Honeycutt and for lap 92 for a Jack Wood crash, Lane Riggs and Corey Heim would restart the field with 35 laps to go. Majeski and Friesen would be on the second row. After 3 laps of battling with Riggs, Corey Heim would take the lead. Majeski and Friesen would be duking it out in third. A lap later, Tanner Gray in the Tricon Garage truck would rocket up and pass Riggs for second. Lane would start to drop. 9 laps later, Grant Enfinger would start to battle Gray for second. On lap 119, Heim would still be in the lead by over a second over Gray. With 11 laps to go, Grant Enfinger would pass Tanner Gray for second. Would he be able to catch Corey Heim? As the laps ticked down, so did the gap, but Enfinger would not be able to pass Corey. And even though it was a late night, it wasn't too late for Heim time. Congrats, Corey, on his second truck win of the season. Now for NASCAR trivia time. This week's question is, with NASCAR going to Homestead-Miami, what is the first year that Homestead-Miami hosted the NASCAR Championships? Answer coming at the end. Now for the Xfinity recap. After the qualifying, the 8 of Sammy Smith would be on the pole for the race. A yellow would fly on the first lap after William Sawalich would get into the wall. By lap 14, Justin Allgaier would take the lead over from Sammy Smith. The rest of the stage would be green and won by Allgaier. After the stage, the 11 of Josh Williams, who was battling an illness, would be replaced by colleague teammate Ty Dillon. After Williams reported he was out of breath. Eric Almirola, last week's winner, will lead the pack back to green for stage 2. By lap 67, Allgaier would be in second. 3 laps to go in the second stage, Almirola and Allgaier would battle for the lead and pass lap cars. Almirola would prevail and would win the second stage. Early in the final stage, Connor Zilisch would take the lead over from Almirola. 28 laps later, Justin Allgaier would retake the lead from his Junior Motorsports teammate. With 55 laps to go, both Almirola and Allgaier would pit. Allgaier would retake the lead 2 laps later, and the chase would be on for Almirola. The laps counted down, Almirola would get loose on the closing laps, and the race would stay green and be won by Justin Allgaier. This is last year's Xfinity champ first win of the season. Congratulations to Justin. Now for the Cup Series recap from Vegas. Everyone would have their chips ready in Vegas for the Cup Series race. Michael McDowell would win his first pole of the year and be on the front row to start the race, along with Joey Logano. Logano would take control of the lead early. When pitting, Logano would be too fast on pit road and have a pass-through penalty. After a short yellow, Austin Cindric, Penske teammates with Logano, would lead after the following restart. Alex Bowman would challenge Cindric, but Austin would go on to win the first stage. After 3 cautions early in the second stage, Ross Chastain and Eric Jones would be leading the pack. By lap 163, Hendrick teammates of Kyle Larson and William Byron would pass Chastain, with Larson leading. Kyle Larson will go on to win the second stage. Early in stage 3, Larson would lead. Several wrecks, including a big one involving Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Noah Gragson, Ryan Blaney, and Bubba Wallace would occur. Tyler Reddick and Daniel Suarez would restart on lap 201. By lap 230, Suarez would clear Reddick for the lead. The 21 of Josh Williams would be moving through the field, and by lap 234, Berry would pass Suarez for the lead. 3 laps later, Joey Logano would retake the lead from Berry. The last yellow flag would fly on lap 243 for exploding tire on Noah Gragson's machine. Suarez and Berry would start on the front row on the final restart, after Joey Logano had a slow pit stop. 5 laps later, Josh Berry would clear Daniel Suarez for the lead. Josh would start to lengthen his lead as the laps counted down. Josh would go on to win. This is Berry's first win at the Cup Series level. Congratulations across the board to Josh and to everyone at Wood Brothers. Well deserved. Quick look back at the predictions we made for Vegas. Truck Series went with Corey Heim. He goes on to win. Xfinity, I went with Sheldon Creed. He finishes 10th. Cup, I went with Kyle Larson. He brings it home 9th. Now for yellow flag, green flag. Trucks, yellow. He's been trying to take the next step after making the playoffs last year. He finished 10th, but post-race in his interview completely ripped his team for the electrical issues he's been dealing with. Tyler Ankrum. Trucks, green flag. Heim time. Second win of the season in only 3 races. As expected, Heim is control of the Truck Series. Xfinity Yellow, Carson Cabol has ran into strategy and mechanical issues the past few races. Carson was running 7th, but had to pit late for fuel. He brought it home 17th. Xfinity Green Flag. After heartbreak in Phoenix, the reigning Xfinity champ gets his first win of the year, Justin Allgaier. Cup Yellow Flag, Ty Gibbs. Hate to rag on Ty, but he just continues to dig himself a hole. He finishes 22nd in Vegas. Cup Green Flag. Didn't have the finish he wanted, but he gets his first pole of the year, Michael McDowell. Now for our driver spotlight, Matthew DiBenedetto. This week in our driver spotlight, we speak to Matt DiBenedetto. He is back full-time in the Xfinity Series for this season with Viking Motorsports. Spoke to him after the Xfinity practice at Daytona. DiBenedetto made his Cup Series debut in 2015 for BK Racing. He ran with Go Fast Racing and Levine Family Racing before taking over the 21 Wood Brothers car in 2020 and the 2021 seasons. In 2022, Matty D would win at the Truck Series level in Talladega for Rackley War. Here's what Matt had to say. Dave Weiger with the Splash of Gas podcast, here with Matt DiBenedetto. Just had the Xfinity practice in the Viking Motorsports car. How do you feel?
Yeah, it was good. We just we qualify tomorrow. We got a 50-minute practice out there. It was good to have some time with a lot of these races. We have such limited practice, so this was nice to have 50 minutes to make a couple runs. We went out there by ourselves, peeled out, then went out in a little group of 3 of us. Had a few things to tweak on just to get the right feel for me, make sure it doesn't wander around too much on the straightaway, just little setup items. But so that was nice to have that. But, man, cool to have the first race with the 99 Viking Motorsports Chevy now. So a lot of new stuff for the team.
A lot of changes for you, but you feel good with this team going into first season with them?
Yeah, very much. Yeah, I think we're made some good improvements from last year and continue to build this team, and everything feels new because we moved to North Carolina, rebranded, the number 99, and with Chevrolet, we got ECR engines, and so totally different looking program, but it should be good steps forward for the team, and great people. Got Pat Tryson, crew chiefing, Doug Campbell spotting for me still, who's been with me for a long time, so we should be good.
Okay, awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you, man.
Really appreciated Matt's time in Daytona. So cool to talk with him about his insight with racing for Vikings Motorsports and the season moving forward. Now, discussions with Dave. Casey Mears returns to NASCAR with Garage 66 at Martinsville in 2025. It was announced last Thursday that Casey Mears would be returning to the NASCAR Cup Series to drive the number 66 car for Garage 66 at Martinsville Speedway on March 30th. The 47-year-old's last NASCAR Cup race came in 2019 at the Daytona 500. Before 2019, Mears last competed in 2016, which was his last full-time season. Despite the gap in starts and Mears' lack of experience in the next-gen car, NASCAR approved his ability to race at Martinsville in a few weeks. It would be Mears' 400th and 90th Cup Series start as he looks to reach 500 Cup Series starts in total. Since the number 66 car is not a chartered entry, he must make the field on speed if there are more than 40 cars entered. Mears said, "I'm happy to be back in a race car and look forward to returning to Martinsville, one of my favorite tracks. I appreciate Carl working with me to make it happen. He's well-respected, great guy who's worked hard to experience longevity in the sport. I'm excited to have Hitchco, Mosby's Towing, and Transport and Coble Enterprises on board as we chip away at 500 NASCAR Cup Series starts." Based on Mears' comments, it seems like he's going to start more races just besides the Martinsville one. Garage 66 didn't reveal if Mears will compete with any more races with their organization, but wouldn't be surprised if I see more announcements in the future. Good to see an old driver in Casey Mears return. That brings us right to our next topic on Discussions with Dave. Casey Mears starts, but not Mike Wallace for the Daytona 500. Okay, we bring a little bit of numbers into this one. And yes, I will bring age into consideration. Casey Mears, 47 years old. Mike Wallace, 66 years old. I did hear on the teardown after the Vegas race, Casey Mears is not approved NASCAR anything over a mile currently, which totally makes sense in their ruling of not letting Mike Wallace race in the 500. Additionally, Mears' gap in the Cup Series is a lot less than Mike Wallace's, and the car that both of them would have been driven was the same, that Garage 66 entry. By no chance that would be a contender. So Mears is really just trying to get his 10 starts so he can have 500 at the Cup Series level. Don't blame him for trying to achieve that. I know he hasn't entered in any of the shorter track races. That's not his strong suit. But sounds like NASCAR would let a Mike Wallace enter in a shorter track race and have to work his way up to prove that he could race in a drafting style track in the next gen car. So I like NASCAR in doing this. Always cool to see retired drivers come back to the sport for a race here and there. Our next topic on Discussions with Dave, we mentioned it in the yellow flag, green flag for truck, Tyler Ankram's post-race interview. Ankram has been a mainstay in the truck series for several seasons, winning once in Kentucky. Last year, he did make the playoffs. He has been strong leading some laps this year, but has gone through a lot of electrical issues, and Ankram experienced those same issues in Vegas. And he did even lead early the race in Vegas. After the race, he completely ripped his team and crew for those electrical issues and said he doesn't even know to go from here. Was really surprised to hear that from Ankram. Can his team turn it up for Miami? Last topic on Discussions with Dave. How many wins can Josh Berry have this season? When Josh Berry was leading laps, beginning races of this season, just like any time recently, the 21 car is out in front. Kind of think it's a fluke, unfortunately. But Josh proved me wrong, and the driver that cut his teeth in late model racing has found his way to victory lane in the NASCAR Cup Series. The way Berry has been racing this year and the work he just put on in Vegas, I don't see why he can't get another 1 or 2 wins this season. There's still short tracks, Martinsville, Richmond, tracks where Berry has done well in the Cup Series previously. Don't see why he can't bring that 21 car back to victory lane another time this season. And that wraps up this week's edition of Discussions with Dave. Now for NASCAR history time. Vegas through the years. 1996. Drax Sprague wins the first NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series race in Las Vegas, while Ron Hornaday Jr. wins the series championship in the final race of the season. 2006. Jimmy Johnson beats Matt Kenseth by .045 seconds, the closest NASCAR Cup Series finish at the track, for his second consecutive Las Vegas victory. Johnson made a last lap pass coming out of turn 4 for the dramatic win. 2011. Mark Martin wins his 4th NASCAR Xfinity race at Las Vegas, making him the all-time series leader at that track in victories. Danica Patrick finishes 4th for the best finish by a woman in a National Series race. 2017. Martin Truex Jr. wins at Las Vegas, the first of 8 victories that year en route to winning the championship for the Cup Series. 2018 marked the first year in history that Las Vegas served as a NASCAR playoff opener for the Cup Series. The fall heat and a slick track made for a show and saw Brad Keselowski win the clinching spot into the round of 12. 2020. Kurt Busch grabbed his first win at his home track after 21 winless efforts. The win also locked him into the round of 8 into the NASCAR playoffs that year. Now, Wood Brothers through the years. Wood Brothers Racing has collected 101 NASCAR Cup Series race wins over its storied history, after Josh Berry celebrated this past weekend, adding the organization's milestone's 101st victory. Here's a look at each driver who's contributed to the team's win list. Let's take a look. With 1 win each, Dale Jarrett, Buddy Baker, Curtis Turner, Donnie Allison, Tiny Lund, Morgan Shepherd, Ryan Blaney, Elliott Sadler, Harrison Burton, Trevor Bayne, and now Josh Berry with Wood Brothers. 2 wins each for Speedy Thompson and Kyle Petty. 4 wins each for Dan Gurney and Glenn Wood. AJ Foyt would have 5 wins with Wood Brothers. Marvin Panch would have 8 wins with Wood Brothers. Neil Bonnet would have 9. Cale Yarborough would have 13. And at the top, Mr. 21, David Pearson, with 43 of his 105 career total wins coming with Wood Brothers. That wraps up NASCAR history time. Now for drivers to look out for Homestead-Miami for the Truck Series. Gotta keep going with the hot hand and can almost call him Mr. Mile and a Half in the trucks. Can Heim go back to back? We were just talking about him ripping his team, but maybe that fixed his electrical issues. If the trucks are as fast as he's saying there is, could Ankrum put it in victory lane in South Florida? Stuart Friesen has been close and real fast recently. Can that Halmar Toyota be up front? Of course, look out for last year's champ, Ty Majeski. He should find the lead up front as well. Don't forget those front row trucks of Chandler Smith and Lane Riggs. Tanner Gray was on the hunt for the lead last week. Can he keep it up? Kyle Larson will be in the trucks for the triple header weekend. Expect him to find the front. Ross Chastain will be back in the trucks as well. Can he nab a win in his home state? Now for Xfinity drivers to look for. Expect the big guns of Allgaier, Love, and Hill to be ready to strike. The 2 Haas factory team Xfinity cars have been fast this season. Look out for Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed. Kyle Larson is back in the Hendrick Motorsports Xfinity seat. Right now, he is the betting favorite. Look out for the 2 Junior Motorsports young guns of Connor Zilic and Carson Capol. Now for the drivers to look out for Homestead-Miami Cup Series. So many good options for this one. One of the best mile-and-a-half tracks on the Cup Series schedule that hosted the championships for so many years prior for NASCAR moving it to Phoenix. Hendrick Motorsports driver William Byron and Kyle Larson will be on the hunt in Homestead. How will Larson bode with the triple header? Josh Berry is in the Wood Brothers 21. Just went over. He got his first Cup Series win last week, assuming he will be competitive once again in Miami. One of these races, a Joe Gibbs driver besides Christopher Bell, should get a win. Expect that to be Denny Hamlin. Trackhouse Racing is really searching for their groove. Could Ross Chastain or Daniel Suarez find that in Homestead? Of course, expect Team Penske drivers of Ryan Blaney and Joey Logano to be competitive as well. Now for Fast Davey's bets for Miami Truck Series. With Larson in this truck race, he's the betting favorite. That means Corey Heim is plus 500 to win, and Ross Chastain is plus 1,000. Good options. Xfinity, Sam Mayer to win is plus 1,200. He should be fast at a track he's won at before. Cup Series, Christopher Bell for a top 3 is plus 250. Think that's a solid one. And yes, unfortunately, I checked. Most of the major sport books are not letting you parlay Kyle Larson to win the Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup. And that wraps up Fast Davey's bets. On to our Homestead-Miami predictions. Truck Series, Heim time until it stops. Corey Heim until he doesn't win at this point. Xfinity. The Hendrick Xfinity car has been fast this year. Think it's going to be tuned for Kyle Larson, and he should get it back in victory lane. Cup Series. Think he's going to go with back-to-back wins on back-to-back days with all those laps in the triple header. Give me Kyle Larson to win the Cup Series race. Coming to the end of the episode, and that means it's time for trivia answer time. This episode's question is, with NASCAR going to Homestead-Miami, what was the first year that Homestead hosted the NASCAR Championships? Answer, Homestead-Miami Speedway hosted the NASCAR Cup Series Championships starting in 1999 before NASCAR moved it to Phoenix. As always, we're sponsored by Magical Travel with Dave, a.k.a. Disney Dave Weichert, my father. He will be able to help you with all your Disney and Universal vacation needs. He can be reached at DisneyDaveW@Verizon.net. Please make sure you follow all the Splash of Gas social medias for midweek and on-track updates. Instagram and Facebook are both Splash of Gas with Dave Weichert. That wraps up this week's episode. Really hope everyone enjoys and gets a chance to watch the racing from sunny South Florida. Till next time, everybody, Splash of Gas out.